Kim Tae-hyun was drinking his morning coffee when the alarms started screaming. The commander of the Orbital Defense Station, Seoul's Pride, set down his cup and ran to the command center. What he saw on the screens made him stop breathing for a moment. Massive ships hung in space above Earth. They were bigger than anything humans had ever built. The ships looked like they were made of crystal and light. They pulsed with strange energy that made the sensors go crazy. How many? Kim asked his second-in-command, Lee Byung-ho. 50 ships over major cities. More arriving every minute, Lee replied. His voice was tight with worry. Dr. Park So-jin ran into the command center. She was the station's expert on alien life, though until today, aliens were just theory. The energy readings are off the charts, she said, looking at her tablet. But something feels wrong about this. Before Kim could ask what she meant, every screen in the room changed. A face appeared. It was not human. The being had skin like polished stone and eyes that glowed with inner fire. When it spoke, its voice came from everywhere at once. Children of Earth, the alien said. We are the Vorthak. We are your creators. We are your gods. Kim felt his jaw tighten. He had never liked people who claimed to be better than others. Gods were even worse. Long ago, we made your species and gave you life, the alien continued. We left you to grow and learn. Now we have returned to our children. You have strayed from the proper path. You must return to us. The alien's image grew larger on the screen. I am Supreme Vorthak Xylith. You will worship us as your gods. You will obey our commands. You have 72 hours to surrender your weapons and governments. Those who submit will be blessed. Those who resist will be destroyed. The E message ended. The command center was silent except for the hum of computers. Sir? Lee asked quietly. Kim looked around the room at his crew. They were scared but ready to fight. These were good people. They deserved better than to bow to aliens who called themselves gods. Get me Earth Command, Kim ordered, and send a message to all defense stations. We're not surrendering to anyone. On the main screen, he could see one of the alien ships moving toward a defense satellite. A beam of light shot from the ship. The satellite simply stopped working. No explosion, no fire. It just went dark. They can disable our weapons without destroying them, Park So-jin observed. That's very advanced technology. But it's still technology, Kim said. Not magic. Not godlike power. Han Minji, the station's chief engineer, was studying the energy readings. Captain, I'm seeing patterns in their power signatures. This isn't random. It follows rules. Kim nodded. If it follows rules, we can understand it. If we can understand it, we can fight it. Dr. Yoon Jae-sung, their weapons expert, was running calculations on his computer. The power levels are incredible, but not impossible. Give me some time and I might figure out how they do it. Agent Cho Woo-bin worked in intelligence. He was already trying to intercept alien communications. I'm picking up radio signals between their ships. They're using encryption, but it's just very complex math, not magic. Park So-jin was studying video of the alien leader. Did you notice how he spoke? He really believes what he's saying. This isn't a trick or a lie. He genuinely thinks he's a god. That might be their weakness, Kim said. People who think they're perfect don't prepare for problems. On Earth below, the news was showing crowds of people in the streets. Some were praying. Others were running. Many world leaders were already talking about surrender. Sir, we're getting reports from other defense stations, Lee said. 3 stations have been disabled. No one was hurt, but they can't fight back. Kim studied the alien ships on his screen. They moved slowly, like they had all the time in the world. They acted like nothing could threaten them. Minji, can you scan their ships without them noticing? Kim asked. I can try passive scans, like taking pictures instead of using radar. Do it. So-jin, I want you to study everything about their biology and psychology. Jae-sung, work on their technology. Woo-bin, keep listening to their communications. Byung-ho, start planning defenses based on what we learn. Park So-jin was still watching the video of the alien leader. Captain, I think there's something important here. Look at how he holds himself, the way he speaks. He's not just claiming to be a god, he's desperate for us to believe it. What? Do you mean? Gods don't need to prove they're gods. They just are. But he's trying very hard to convince us. Maybe he's trying to convince himself, too. Kim thought about this. In his experience, people who shouted the loudest about being important were usually the most insecure. Han Minji's scans were coming back with interesting results. Captain, their ships are incredibly advanced, but they're still just machines. Very sophisticated machines, but machines nonetheless. They use exotic matter and energy fields we don't understand yet, but it's all based on physics. Not divine power, Kim said. Definitely not divine power. Agent Cho Woo-bin looked up from his console. I'm getting fragments of their communications. Most of it is routine ship operations. But I'm hearing something interesting. Some of their lower-ranking members are asking questions. What kind of questions? About humans. About whether we're really their creations. Some of them sound uncertain. Park Seo-jin nodded. That fits with what I'm seeing. If they were really gods, would they need to convince their own people? Kim looked at the countdown timer on his screen. 71 hours and 37 minutes until the deadline. Around him, his team was working with quiet determination. They were scared, but they weren't giving up. Sir, Lee said, Earth Command is asking for our assessment. Kim thought for a moment. Tell them we recommend no surrender. These aliens are advanced, but they're not gods. They have weaknesses. We just need to find them. And if Earth Command orders us to surrender? Kim looked at his crew. Each of them met his eyes and nodded slightly. They were with him. Then we follow our conscience instead of orders, Kim said. Some things are more important than following commands. On the screen, the alien ships continued their slow patrol above Earth's cities. They looked invincible. They acted like nothing could touch them. But Kim had spent his whole life learning that nothing was truly invincible. Everything had weaknesses. Even gods. Especially things that only thought they were gods. Get back to work, everyone, Kim ordered. We have 71 hours to save the world. Let's not waste them. 18 hours had passed since the aliens arrived. Kim Tae-hyun stood in the station's main lab, watching his team work. They had not slept, but nobody complained. The fate of Earth was in their hands. Han Minji was deep in her computer, studying energy patterns from the alien ships. I found something interesting, she announced. Their power systems have regular pulses, like a heartbeat. What does that mean? Kim asked. Machines with heartbeats have rhythm. Rhythm means timing. Timing means we might be able to predict when they're strong and when they're weak. Dr. Park Seo-jin was examining videos of the alien leader and his crew. I've been studying their behavior. They move like people who have never been challenged. Every gesture shows complete confidence. That's bad for us, Lee Byung-ho said. Maybe not, Park replied. People who are never challenged don't know how to fight when someone finally stands up to them. Agent Cho Woo-bin had been listening to alien communications for hours. He looked tired, but excited. I've decoded more of their language. Most of the ship communications are normal. Navigation, power reports, crew schedules. But there's something else? He played an audio file. The alien voices sounded like crystal bells ringing. What are they saying? Kim asked. The lower-ranking crew members are talking among themselves. They're asking questions. One of them wondered why humans look so different if the Vorthak really created us. Another asked why they don't remember creating Earth. Park Seo-jin looked up sharply. They don't remember? That's what it sounds like. They seem to accept that they created humans because their leaders say so. But they don't have personal memories of it. Dr. Yoon Jae-sung had been quietly working on weapons analysis. I've been studying how they disabled our satellites. The technology is incredible, but it follows patterns. It's like they're using a very advanced tool, but it's still just a tool. Kim felt a spark of hope. Keep going. Gods wouldn't need tools, Yoon continued. They would just make things happen. But these aliens are using machines to create effects that look like magic. So they're not really gods, Kim said. I don't think they're pretending either, Park added. I think they genuinely believe they are gods. But belief doesn't make something true. Minji pulled up a new display. Look at this. I've been tracking the power usage of their ships. When they disabled our satellites, their energy levels dropped significantly. They had to recharge for several minutes before they could do it again. Gods wouldn't get tired, Kim realized. Exactly. Cho Woo-bin was listening to more communications. I'm hearing something new. There's one alien who sounds different from the others. His name seems to be Korvath. He's asking more questions than anyone else. What kind of questions? He's wondering why humans fight instead of worshipping immediately. He says most species bow down right away when they see Vorthak ships, but humans are different. Kim smiled grimly. Humans are definitely different. Park So-jin was reading through files on her tablet. I've been researching human history. Every time someone claimed to be a god, other humans eventually proved them wrong. We don't like being told what to think. That's our strength, Kim agreed. But what's their weakness? I think I know, Park said slowly. They believe their own story so completely that they've never questioned it. They've probably been telling themselves they're gods for so long that they've forgotten their real history. Yoon Jae-sung looked up from his calculations. If they've forgotten their real history, they might have forgotten other things too, like how to fight a real war. What do you mean? Think about it. If every species either worships them or gets destroyed quickly, they haven't had a real battle in probably thousands of years. They might be out of practice? Minji was nodding. That would explain the power patterns I'm seeing. Their systems are incredibly advanced, but they're not built for sustained combat. They're built to show off. Kim walked to the main window and looked out at the alien ships. They still moved slowly and confidently through space. How long has it been since they fought someone who fought back? He wondered aloud. Cho Woo-bin had more communications data. From what I'm hearing, they expect this to be over quickly. They're already planning what they call integration ceremonies for human survivors. They're planning our surrender party before we've surrendered, Lee observed. Arrogant, Kim said, but maybe useful for us. Park So-jin was studying psychological profiles. Captain, I think we need to consider something important. What if we don't try to fight them physically? What do you mean? What if we fight them psychologically? Challenge their beliefs instead of their ships? Kim thought about this. How? By proving they're not gods. If we can show them evidence that contradicts their divine story, it might shake their confidence. That's dangerous, Lee warned. If we're wrong, we'll just make them angry. They're already planning to rule us, Kim pointed out. How much worse can it get? Yoon Jae-sung was getting excited. This could work. Their whole identity is based on being gods. If we prove they're not, it would be like pulling the foundation out from under a building. Minji was running new calculations. Their power systems show stress patterns when they have to work hard. If we could force them to use maximum power for extended periods, they might overload. But how do we make them work hard? Lee asked. By making them prove they're gods, Park said. Really prove it, not just with advanced technology, but with actual divine power. Kim was starting to see the plan. We challenge them to do something that technology can't accomplish. Exactly. Gods should be able to create matter from nothing, or know everything about the universe, or exist in multiple places at once. Cho Woo-bin was listening to more alien chatter. The crew member named Korvath is talking again. He's saying something interesting. He's wondering why the gods need so many ships if they're all powerful. Good question, Kim said. Gods shouldn't need transportation. I think Korvath might be an ally, Cho continued. He sounds like he's starting to doubt. Kim looked at his team. They were tired, but determined. In 18 hours, they had learned more about the aliens than Earth's leaders seemed to know. Here's what we're going to do, Kim announced. We're going to contact the aliens directly. We're going to ask for a meeting. Sir? Lee looked worried. Think about it. They want us to worship them. If we request an audience, they'll probably agree. Gods like to be praised. And then what? Minji asked. Then we ask them to prove they're really gods. Not with technology, with actual divine power. Park So-jin smiled. And when they can't, we show them the evidence that they're just an advanced species that forgot its own history. It's risky, Yoon admitted. Everything is risky now, Kim replied. But at least this way, we're taking action instead of just waiting to be conquered. He turned to Cho Woo-bin. Can you send a message to their ships? Yes, sir. Then open a channel. It's time to talk to some gods. Kim Tae-hyun sat in front of the communication screen, waiting. His team had worked for 36 hours straight to prepare for this moment. They had found information that could change everything. The screen flickered, and the alien leader appeared. Supreme Vorthak Xylith looked even more imposing up close. His crystalline skin caught the light, and his glowing eyes seemed to see through Kim. "Human Commander," Xylith said, his voice echoing strangely. "You wish to surrender your station?" "I wish to speak with you about your claims," Kim replied calmly. The alien's expression did not change, but Kim noticed a slight pause. "Claims? We do not make claims. We state facts. We are your creators." "Then you won't mind proving it," Kim said. Behind Xylith, Kim could see other aliens moving around what looked like a ship's bridge. One of them, larger than the others, was watching the conversation closely. "Prove?" Xylith's voice carried what sounded like surprise. "We need prove nothing to our creations." Dr. Park So-jin stepped into view of the camera. "With respect, Supreme Vorthak, any being can claim to be a god, but real gods would have no trouble demonstrating their divine nature. You dare question our divinity?" "We seek to understand it," Park replied smoothly. "Surely gods would want their children to understand them fully." Kim saw the large alien behind Xylith lean forward slightly. That must be Korvath, the one who had been asking questions. "Very well," Xylith said after a moment. "What proof do you require?" Dr. Yoon Jae-sung moved to another screen. "Our records show that you claim to have created humanity long ago, but we have found evidence of human evolution going back millions of years. How do you explain this?" Yoon displayed fossil records and genetic data. "These show humans developing naturally from earlier species. No sign of artificial creation." Xylith looked at the data for a long moment. "Your science is primitive. You do not understand what you see." "Then explain it to us," Kim said. "Help us understand how gods create species that appear to evolve naturally." For the first time, Xylith seemed uncertain. "The divine work in ways your minds cannot grasp." Agent Cho Woo-bin had been working on translation programs. He had decoded more Vorthak communications and found something important. "Supreme Vorthak," Cho said, "we have been studying your language. We found records of your own species history. Impossible. You cannot read our sacred texts." "Actually, we can." Cho displayed Vorthak writing on the screen. "These records show your species evolving on a planet called Vorthak Prime. They show your development of technology over millions of years. They show you building your first spaceships." The bridge behind Xylith had gone quiet. Kim could see several aliens staring at the translated documents. "These texts are very old," Cho continued. "They describe your species discovering faster than light, travel, developing advanced energy weapons, learning to manipulate matter at the atomic level, all through scientific research and technological development." "Lies," Xylith said, but his voice was less certain. Han Minji took over. "We've also analyzed your ship's technology. It's incredibly advanced, but it follows the laws of physics. You use exotic matter manipulation and quantum field generators. Very sophisticated, but not magical." She showed technical diagrams on the screen. "These are the power signatures from your ships. They match theoretical models for advanced technology. Nothing here requires divine power to explain." The large alien behind Xylith stepped forward. Kim could see him clearly now. His crystalline features were different from Xylith's, more angular and somehow more alert. "I am Nexus Prime Korvath," he said. "These documents, where did you find them?" "They were embedded in your own communication systems," Cho replied. "Historical databases that your computers access for language translation and cultural reference." Korvath turned to look at Xylith. "Supreme Vorthak, these records, they seem familiar, like memories I had forgotten." Impossible. Xylith's composure was cracking. "We have always been divine. We transcended mortality eons ago." Park So-jin leaned forward. "Supreme Vorthak, when did you personally create humanity? What do you remember about that event?" Xylith opened his mouth to answer, then stopped. Kim could see confusion in the alien's glowing eyes. The creation was before my time. My predecessors—" "What about creating other species?" Park pressed. "You claim to be gods. Surely you've created many forms of life." We guide species to proper development. We do not create from nothing." Then how are you gods? Kim asked simply. The question hung in the air. Xylith looked around his bridge. Several of his crew members were staring at him, waiting for an answer. We possess power beyond mortal understanding, Xylith said finally. So do we, Yon replied. Compared to humans from 1,000 years ago, we have godlike power. We can fly, communicate across vast distances, cure diseases, and split atoms. Does that make us gods? Korvath spoke again. The human makes a point. Power alone does not define divinity. Silence, Xylith snapped. You forget yourself, Nexus Prime? Do I? Korvath moved to stand beside Xylith. Or am I remembering myself? These humans have shown us records of our own history, records that I recognize, though I do not know why. Kim saw his opportunity. Nexus Prime Korvath, what is the oldest memory you have of being divine? Korvath thought for a long moment. I remember being told we were gods. I remember accepting this truth, but I do not remember becoming a god. Because you never did, Park said gently. You are an ancient, powerful, and incredibly advanced species, but you are not gods. You never were. Xylith's image flickered as his communication system fluctuated. Kim realized the alien leader was losing control of his emotions. This is blasphemy. We are divine. We must be divine. Without our divinity, what are we? You are what you always were, Kim replied. A remarkable species that achieved incredible things through intelligence, dedication, and technological advancement. That's actually more impressive than being born divine. Several aliens on the bridge were talking among themselves now. Kim could see doubt spreading through their ranks. You have convinced entire galaxies that you are gods, Park added. You have built a civilization that spans star systems. You have created technology that seems like magic. These are amazing achievements for any mortal species. But we cannot be mortal, Xylith said desperately. If we are mortal, then we can die. If we can die, then we are not perfect. If we are not perfect, then you are like every other species in the universe, Kim finished. Trying to survive, to grow, to understand your place in existence. There's no shame in that. Korvath was studying the historical documents on his own screens. These records, they feel true, like memories returning after a long dream. No, Xylith struck his console, making sparks fly. I will not accept this. We are gods. We must be gods. And if mortals will not worship us willingly, we will force them to. The communication ended abruptly. Kim's team stared at the blank screen. Well, Lee Byung-ho said quietly, I think we made him angry. We did more than that, Park replied. We planted seeds of doubt in his crew. Did you see how many of them were listening? Kim nodded. Especially Korvath. He's starting to remember who they really are. Sir, Minji reported, I'm detecting massive power buildups in the alien fleet. They're preparing for something big. Kim looked at the countdown timer. 24 hours remaining until the original deadline. They're going to attack early, he realized. We shattered their confidence, so now they're going to try to prove their divinity through force. Can we stop them? Lee asked. Kim looked at his team. They had done the impossible. They had made gods doubt themselves. Now, they had to survive the consequences. We're about to find out, Kim said. The Vorthak fleet was in chaos. Through intercepted communications, Kim's team could hear arguments breaking out across multiple ships. Some aliens still believed in their divinity. Others were questioning everything they thought they knew. Power. Signatures are fluctuating across their entire fleet, Han Minji reported. Their formations are breaking apart. On the main screen, Kim watched the massive alien ships spreading out in disorganized patterns. Some moved toward Earth aggressively, others held back uncertain. I'm getting a communication request, Agent Cho Woo-bin announced. It's from Nexus Prime Korvath. Put him through. Korvath appeared on screen. The large alien looked troubled, his crystalline features dim with worry. Human Commander Kim, Korvath said, I must speak with you urgently. I'm listening. Supreme Vorthak Xylith has ordered an immediate attack on your planet, but many of us are questioning this order. The documents you showed us, they have awakened memories we thought were lost. Behind Korvath, Kim could see other aliens gathered around, listening intently. What kind of memories? Dr. Park So-jin asked. Memories of being young, of learning, of struggling to understand the universe. Korvath's voice carried wonder, as if he was remembering childhood after centuries of forgetting. We remember building our first spacecraft. We remember the excitement of discovering new worlds. Those are the memories of a mortal species, Park said gently. A species that earned its achievements through effort and discovery. Yes, Korvath said slowly. But if we are mortal, what happens to everything we have built? What happens to the thousands of species that worship us? Kim leaned forward. They become free to find their own path. Isn't that better than living? A lie? Before Korvath could answer, another voice cut into the communication. It was Xylith, and he sounded furious. Nexus Prime! You will cease this communication immediately. Korvath turned away from the screen to face his leader. Supreme Vorthak, the humans have shown us evidence. The humans have shown us lies designed to weaken our resolve. Xylith appeared on screen, pushing Korvath aside. I will not allow these mortals to poison our divine minds with their heresies. Kim could see other aliens in the background, watching the argument with growing concern. Xylith, Kim said, if you are truly a god, prove it. Create something from nothing. Know something you couldn't possibly know. Exist in two places at once. I do not need to prove anything to insects. Then why are you so angry? Park asked. Gods don't get angry at mortals questioning them. They don't need to destroy planets to maintain their authority. Xylith's image flickered as his emotions destabilized his communication system. You seek to drive us mad with doubt. We seek to show you the truth, Kim replied. You are an amazing species that has achieved incredible things. But you are not gods. Dr. Yoon Jae-sung stepped forward. Xylith, look at what you're doing right now. You're using technology to communicate with us. Gods wouldn't need machines to talk across space. Our divine essence flows through all matter, Xylith protested. That's just another way of saying you use advanced technology, Yoon replied. Very advanced, but still technology. On screen, Kim could see more aliens gathering behind Korvath. They were listening to every word. Even your ship, Han Minji, added, displaying technical readouts, follows engineering principles. It needs power sources, structural support, life support systems. Gods wouldn't need life support. Korvath stepped back into view. She speaks truth. Our ships require maintenance. Our bodies need nourishment. Our minds need rest. He turned to Xylith. When did gods ever need such things? Because we choose to experience physical existence. Xylith's voice was getting higher, more desperate. We could transcend these limitations at any time. Then do it, Kim challenged. Right. Now, transcend your physical form. Become pure energy. Create a new star. Move a planet with your thoughts. Xylith stared at the screen, his glowing eyes wide with panic. Around him, his crew waited for him to demonstrate his divine power. Nothing happened. I do not choose to waste divine energy on demonstrations for mortals, or you can't, Park said quietly, because you're not really a god. You're just a person who has believed a story for so long that you forgot it wasn't true. Agent Cho Woo-bin had been monitoring communications across the fleet. Captain, I'm reading massive disagreements throughout their ships. About 40% of their crews are openly questioning the divine mandate. Korvath looked around at his fellow aliens. We remember now. We remember being scientists, explorers, engineers. We remember our parents teaching us, our children learning from us. Gods do not have parents. Gods do not learn. Silence! Xylith struck his console again, but this time his crew did not flinch in obedience. They looked at him with something like pity. Supreme Vorthak, one of them said. Perhaps we should reconsider— No! Xylith screamed. We are gods. We must be gods. If we are not gods, then we have spent 10,000 years living a lie. If we are not gods, then we have enslaved countless species for no reason. If we are not gods, then we are monsters. The truth of his words hung in the air like poison. Kim saw the exact moment when Xylith realized what he had said. That's the real fear, isn't it? Park said softly. Not that you're not gods, but that if you're not gods, you have to face what you've really been doing all these centuries. Xylith's form seemed to shrink on the screen. We brought order to the galaxy. We guided lesser species. You conquered them, Kim said. You enslaved them. You forced them to worship you because it made you feel important. But if we believed we were gods, Korvath said slowly, then you told yourselves it was justified, Park finished. Gods have the right to rule mortals, but mortals ruling other mortals, that's just tyranny. The bridge behind Xylith was now filled with aliens talking among themselves. Kim could see the certainty draining from their faces as they processed the implications. This cannot be, Xylith whispered. This cannot be true. It is true, Kim said firmly. But truth also offers freedom. You can stop pretending to be what you're not. You can become what you actually are, an incredible species with the power to help others, instead of ruling them. Korvath turned to his crew. The humans are right. We are not gods. We never were. He faced Xylith directly. And you know this, old friend. In your heart, you know this. Xylith looked around at his crew, at his bridge, at the technology that surrounded him. Kim could see the internal struggle playing out on the alien's face. If we are not gods, Xylith said finally, then what purpose do we have? The same purpose as every other species, Kim replied. To live, to learn, to grow, and to help others do the same. But the other species worship us. What will they do when they learn we are mortal? They'll be free, Park said. Free to worship what they choose, or to worship nothing at all. Free to make their own decisions about their lives. Korvath was studying readings from across the fleet. Xylith, half our ships are already standing down. They refuse to attack Earth. Then I will attack with the ships that remain loyal. Xylith's desperation was complete now. I will prove our divinity by destroying these heretics. You'll prove nothing except that advanced technology can destroy planets, Kim said. Any species with enough power can commit genocide. That doesn't make them gods. Xylith's image flickered and went out. Kim's team stared at the blank screen. Minji, what's happening with their fleet? Kim asked. It's splitting apart. About half the ships are moving away from Earth. The other half are powering weapons and moving into attack formation. Korvath reappeared on screen. Commander Kim, I am sorry. Those who still cling to the divine illusion will attack your world. I cannot stop them. But you can help us fight them, Kim realized. Korvath nodded slowly. Yes, we can. Space around Earth erupted into chaos. The Vorthak fleet had split into two groups. Xylith's fanatics moved toward the planet with weapons charging. Korvath's awakened allies positioned themselves to defend humanity. Kim Tai-hyun watched the battle unfold from his command center. How many ships on each side? He asked. 26 ships still following Xylith, Lee Byung-ho reported. 24 have joined Korvath. The odds are almost even. But Xylith's forces still believe they're gods. Dr. Park So-jin observed. That might give them an advantage. Or it might be their weakness, Kim replied. Gods don't expect to lose. They don't plan for failure. Han Minji was coordinating with Earth's defense forces. Our ships are moving to support Korvath's group, but honestly, our weapons are like throwing rocks at mountains compared to theirs. Agent Cho Woo-bin was monitoring communications from both Vorthak factions. Xylith is ordering his followers to destroy all human military installations first. He wants to prove that mortal weapons cannot harm gods. Let him try, Dr. Yoon Jae-sung said grimly. I've been studying their weapon systems. They're designed for intimidation, not efficient warfare. The first exchange of fire lit up the space around Earth. Xylith's ships unleashed beams of energy that could melt mountains, but Korvath's defenders knew exactly how those weapons worked. Look at that, Minji said, pointing to her screens. Korvath's ships are dodging attacks they should never have seen coming. They know each other's capabilities too well, Kim realized. This isn't going to be decided by superior firepower. On the main screen, they watched one of Xylith's ships fire at the orbital defense platform over Tokyo. The beams struck shields that shouldn't have been able to stop it, but the shields held. How? Lee asked. Park was studying the tactical display. Korvath's people are jamming Xyleth's targeting systems. They're feeding false data to his ships. Kim nodded approvingly. They know exactly how to fight their own technology. More ships joined the battle as Earth's defense fleet arrived. Human vessels looked tiny next to the massive Vorthak ships, but they moved with purpose and coordination. Human ships are targeting the power junctions Minji identified, Yoon reported. Small, precise strikes instead of trying to overpower their shields. Kim watched as a squadron of human fighters swarmed around one of Xyleth's ships. They looked like insects attacking a giant, but their targeted strikes were having an effect. The Vorthak designed their ships to be impressive, not practical, Minji explained. All those glowing energy conduits that make them look godlike, they're actually vulnerabilities. On the communication screen, Korvath appeared. Behind him, Kim could see the battle raging outside his ship's windows. Commander Kim, Xyleth has gone completely mad. He's ordering his ships to ram Earth's moon to create a debris field. Can you stop him? We're trying, but he still has loyal followers. They believe destroying your world will restore their divine status. Kim looked at his team. They had come so far, learned so much. Now it all came down to this battle. Korvath, I have an idea, but I need you to get us close to Xyleth's flagship. That's extremely dangerous. His ship has the most powerful weapons in the fleet. But does it have the most powerful shields? Korvath paused, thinking. No. He always relied on intimidation rather than defense. His shields are actually weaker than most of our ships. Then, we can get through them. Minji, prepare the station's main engines. We're going mobile. Sir? Lee looked shocked. This station wasn't designed for combat maneuvers. It wasn't designed to save the world either, but that's what we're doing. Han Minji was already working at her console. I can give us limited mobility, but we'll only get one shot at whatever you're planning. Kim turned to Yoon. Can you overload our main reactor to create an electromagnetic pulse? Yes, but it would destroy our station and probably kill us. Not if we evacuate to escape pods first. Park suddenly understood. You want to get close enough to Xyleth's ship to fry his systems with an EMP. His shields can stop energy weapons. But can they stop electromagnetic radiation from point-blank range? No, Minji said, checking her calculations. EMP works differently than directed energy. It would overwhelm his electronic systems. Cho was monitoring Xyleth's communications. He's preparing for a final attack on Earth's surface. All his remaining ships are focusing their fire on major cities. Then we don't have time for a perfect plan, Kim decided. Minji, give me everything the engines have. Korvath, we need cover to reach Xyleth's flagship. Understood. We'll clear a path for you. The space station shuddered as its engines, never meant for rapid movement, pushed it out of orbit. Through the windows, Kim could see Korvath's ships engaging Xyleth's forces in desperate combat. Hull stress is approaching critical levels, Lee reported. Hold together just a little longer, Kim muttered. On screen, Xyleth's massive flagship grew larger. It was a thing of crystalline beauty and terrible power. Energy coursed along its hull like liquid light. Xyleth is hailing us, Cho announced. Put him through. The mad alien leader appeared on screen. His once perfect features were twisted with rage and desperation. Mortal insects! You think your pathetic station can threaten a god? We think your pathetic delusions have made you weak, Kim replied. I will vaporize you and your world. I will prove my divinity with your ashes. You'll prove you're just another tyrant with big guns, Park said. Xyleth screamed in fury and cut the communication. Incoming fire, Minji warned. The station's shields flared as Xyleth's weapons struck them. Alarms blared throughout the ship. Shields at 30%, Lee reported. Distance to target? Kim asked. 2 kilometers and closing. That's close enough. All hands abandon ship. Get to the escape pods. His team ran for the evacuation stations. Kim stayed at his post until the last moment, watching Xyleth's ship grow to fill the entire screen. Reactor overload initiated. Yoon's voice came through the communications. EMP will trigger in 60 seconds. Kim reached the escape pod bay just as the doors sealed. Through the small window, he could see Xyleth's flagship directly ahead. 30 seconds, Yoon announced. The escape pods launched, carrying the crew away from the station. Kim watched from his pod as the space station Sol's Pride flew directly toward the alien flagship. 10 seconds. Xyleth's ship was trying to maneuver away, but it was too late. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The electromagnetic pulse erupted from the station's exploding reactor. Invisible energy washed over Xyleth's flagship in a wave of electronic death. Every light on the alien ship went dark. Its engines stopped. Its weapons powered down. The magnificent crystalline vessel went dead in space. "Direct hit," Minji's voice came through the pod's radio. "All their systems are offline." Through the radio, they could hear Korvath's forces, moving in to secure Xyleth's disabled ships. The battle was over. Kim looked out at the stars, thinking about what they had accomplished. They hadn't just won a battle. They had freed an entire species from the prison of their own delusions. "Sir," Lee's voice came through the radio. "Earth Command is asking for a status report." Kim smiled. "Tell them the gods have been reminded that they're mortal and that humanity is still free." In the distance, he could see Korvath's ships helping the disabled vessels. Even Xyleth's fanatics would be treated with mercy, not vengeance. That, Kim thought, was the difference between gods and mortals. Real gods wouldn't need to prove their divinity. But real mortals could choose to be better than their worst impulses, and that was the most divine thing of all. 3 months after the battle, Admiral Kim Tae-hyun stood on the bridge of the new starship New Seoul. Through the wide windows, he could see Vorthak and human ships working together to build the first interspecies research station. "It's hard to believe how much has changed," Dr. Park So-jin said, joining him at the window. She now headed the new Department of Interspecies Psychology. "The galaxy is waking up," Kim replied. "Korvath sent another report yesterday. 12 more species have declared independence from Vorthak rule." Commander Lee Byung-ho approached with a data tablet. "The former slaves aren't seeking revenge either. Most just want to be left alone to find their own path." Kim nodded. That had been the most surprising development. Species that had been enslaved for thousands of years weren't interested in conquest or payback. They simply wanted freedom. The Zephyrians established their first elected government. "Last week," Lee continued, "the Crystalline Collective is sharing their art with other species for the first time in centuries. Even the warlike Krathen have started peace negotiations with their neighbors." Dr. Han Minji walked over from the engineering station. "The new joint technology programs are exceeding all expectations. When species share knowledge instead of hoarding it, everyone benefits." Agent Cho Woo-bin was monitoring communications from across the galaxy. "I'm still intercepting reports of former Vorthak territories declaring independence. The news is spreading faster than we expected." "Fear travels fast," Park observed. "But hope travels even faster." Kim looked at the data displays showing their current mission. They were heading to the Andorian system, where another species was questioning their Vorthak overlords. "Any word from Korvath?" Kim asked. "He's making progress with Xyleth," Park replied. "Psychiatric therapy for someone who believed they were a god for 10,000 years is challenging." Through the ship's communication system, they could hear updates from the research station. Human and Vorthak scientists were working together to study the psychological effects of the divine delusion that had affected the Vorthak species. "Dr. Park," came a voice through the speakers. "We have the results from the latest brain scans." "Go ahead, Dr. Venth," Park replied. Dr. Venth was a Vorthak neuroscientist who had joined their team. "The neural pathways associated with the divine belief system are beginning to restructure in the recovered subjects. Their brains are literally rewiring themselves to accept reality." Kim found that fascinating. The Vorthak hadn't just convinced themselves they were gods. They had actually changed their brain chemistry to support the delusion. "How long for complete recovery?" Park asked. "For most subjects, we estimate 6 to 12 months. For Supreme Vorthak Xyleth, perhaps years." His delusion was the strongest. Cho looked up from his station. "I'm receiving a transmission from the Andorian system. They're requesting immediate assistance." "Put it through," Kim ordered. The screen showed a being that looked like a cross between a spider and a butterfly. Its wings shimmered with colors that had no names in human language. "I am Speaker Nethys of the Andorian Council," the being said in musical tones. "We have heard that you are the humans who revealed the truth about the Vorthak." We are, Kim replied. How can we help you? Our Vorthak overseers claim that without their divine guidance, our species will destroy itself. They say only gods can maintain order in our chaotic world. Park stepped forward. Speaker Nethys, has your species ever tried governing itself? Not for 3,000 years. The Vorthak arrived when we were in the middle of a great war. They stopped the fighting and imposed peace. Imposed peace isn't real peace, Kim said. It's just delayed conflict. But what if they are right? What if we cannot rule ourselves? Lee consulted his historical databases. Speaker Nethys, according to our records, your species had achieved interplanetary travel before the Vorthak arrived. You had art, science, and philosophy. You were clearly capable of great things. That was long ago. We have forgotten how to make such decisions. Skills can be relearned, Park said gently, with help from friends instead of orders from masters. Minji was studying technical data about the Andorian system. Your infrastructure is incredibly advanced. Your people built most of it yourselves, didn't they? Yes, but under Vorthak supervision. No, Minji corrected, showing her analysis. The engineering signatures are purely Andorian. The Vorthak provided materials, but your people designed and built everything. You never lost the ability to create. Speaker Nethys's wings fluttered with. What Kim had learned was excitement. Truly? Truly. You've been governing yourselves all along. The Vorthak just took credit for your successes and blamed you for any problems. Cho had been analyzing Andorian communications. Speaker Nethys, are there others on your world who question Vorthak rule? Many, but we fear the consequences of rebellion. It's not rebellion, Kim said. It's growing up. Children don't rebel when they move out of their parents' house. They mature. Through the communication link, they could hear other Andorians gathering around Speaker Nethys. Voices rose in excited discussion. What would happen to our Vorthak overseers if we declared independence? Nethys asked. That's up to you, Park replied. Some species have asked their former overseers to stay as advisors. Others have asked them to leave. A few have put them on trial for crimes. The choice is yours. The Vorthak in our system. They genuinely believed they were helping us? Most of them, yes. They're as much victims of the divine delusion as you are. Kim could see the decision forming in Nethys's expression. We would like to try governing ourselves, but we would appreciate guidance from friends, not masters. That can be arranged, Kim said. We're establishing a new organization called the Galactic Cooperation Council. No rulers, no subjects, just species working together as equals. When can you arrive at our world? We're already on our way. After the communication ended, Kim's team prepared for their arrival at Andoria. It would be their 15th liberation mission in 3 months. Sir, Lee said, I've been thinking about something. How did the Vorthak maintain their divine delusion for so long? Park had been studying this question extensively. They isolated themselves from reality. They only interacted with species that worshipped them, or species they quickly destroyed. They never faced real challenges that might have revealed their limitations. Plus, Minji added, they designed their technology to look magical rather than efficient. They prioritized appearance over function. The scariest part, Cho observed, is how easy it was for them to convince themselves. I wonder how many other species in the galaxy are living similar delusions. Kim had wondered the same thing. That's why this work is so important. We're not just freeing species from the Vorthak. We're teaching them to think critically about any claims of absolute authority. Yoon Jae-sung, who had been quietly working on technical reports, looked up. I've been analyzing the psychological profiles of the species we've helped. Do you know what they all have in common? What? Once they stop believing in the Vorthak's divinity, they stop believing in anyone's divinity. They become skeptical of all claims of absolute power. Good, Kim said. Healthy skepticism prevents future tyrannies. The ship shuddered slightly as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Through the windows, they could see the Andorian homeworld, a beautiful planet of floating cities and crystal forests. Incoming transmission, Cho announced. It's from the Andorian Council. Speaker Nethys appeared on screen, but this time they weren't alone. Dozens of other Andorians filled the background. Admiral Kim, Nethys said, We have voted. We declare our independence from Vorthak rule. We request membership in your Galactic Cooperation Council. Behind Nethys, the Andorians were celebrating. Their wings created a rainbow of color as they danced in joy. Request approved, Kim said, smiling. Welcome to the community of free species. As their ship approached the planet, Kim thought about how far they had all come. 3 months ago, the Vorthak had seemed like unstoppable gods. Now they were partners in building a better galaxy. Admiral, Park said, do you ever think about what would have happened if we had just surrendered when they first arrived? Kim considered this. The galaxy would still be full of slaves pretending their chains were divine gifts. But we didn't surrender, Lee pointed out. Because humans don't like being told what to think. And that, Kim said, looking out at the liberated world below, might be humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy. Not our technology or our weapons, but our stubborn refusal to accept that anyone has the right to rule us without our consent, the HFY. Ship entered Andorian space, ready to help another species learn the most important lesson in the universe, that freedom is worth fighting for, and that gods who demand worship probably aren't gods at all.